Hey, everybody. Welcome to Navel Gazing, the Valley Indy podcast. My name is Eugene Driscoll of valleyindy.org. Hopefully, you know that that is an online newspaper covering Ansonia, Seymour, and Derby in the great lower Naugatuck Valley of Connecticut. And I am very happy to welcome back, after a long absence, Seymour First Selectwoman, Annmarie Drugonis. Hello, Annmarie.
Hey, Eugene, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Getting myself all, oh, look, some random page opened. We are live. It's all working. Look, we have 6 viewers. I'm so excited.
How exciting.
But, you know, Annmarie, and again, thanks for coming on. Around this time of year, Seymour starts its budget process, which, I mean, actually, it's already started probably a month ago.
Started the end of December, it started, actually.
My goal every month or every year, we've tried various ways to do it. It never quite works out. My goal is the day of the referendum, no one on Facebook from the town of Seymour posts, I didn't even know it was coming. It's like, it's never worked, but it's like my white whale, you know, as someone who's just trying to get the information out there and seeing how it's tougher and tougher despite all the ways we communicate online, in person, Zoom, over the phone, what have you. But it's like tougher than ever to get information out there. That's my editorial. So you wanted to come on and talk about the budget process because I know you want people involved.
Yes, very much so.
So let's throw it out there. I mean, I know, where are you in the budget process in the town of Seymour?
So currently we are in what we call the budget workshops. And what that is the departments are coming in front of the Board of Finance and presenting their budgets to the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance is listening to their wants, to their needs, to their wish lists, and either saying, okay, they're asking questions and they're telling them to either come back again with better numbers or, okay, thank you.
So it's like almost like the fine tuning phase that's happening right now.
Right. So we start our budget process probably the last week of December, the beginning week of January. We have a meeting with the chair of the Department of Finance, Bill Sawicki, myself, and all the department heads. And we get together in a room, excuse me, and they start presenting their budgets to us, saying what they like, what they want, and it's everybody's way of coming together and sort of giving feedback as to, oh, hey, we have that in our budget, maybe we can help you. And then we listen, Bill gives them some feedback, maybe segregating out your lines, separating your lines here, and then they go back. And then the Board of Finance sets their budget workshops, gives it to our office here, and we print it. Okay, so on February 2nd, we're going to meet with this department. Last night we met with the fire marshal, the fire department, and Parks and Rec. So they presented their budgets last night. Monday night was the library, the town clerk's office. So Mondays and Wednesdays, each department gets to come and give. The first one we heard was the Board of Ed and their request. And then our police chief came on and gave his request. So each department has their say in front of the Board of Finance. Then what they do is I start putting my budget together by sitting in on these meetings, listening to what they want, listening to what their needs are, getting feedback from the Board of Finance. I come back, I put my budget together. Then I have to present my budget.
And when you say your budget, that's not just your department, that is town-wide.
That's the overall, each department. It's broken down by each department. And I present it. And it could be the same numbers that each department has, or I might say, well, I think after sitting down with them, can you live with this? Can you live with that? And they say, yeah, then I'll present it. Then all my budget is a suggestion to the Board of Finance, because the Board of Finance has the final say in the budget that's presented to the taxpayers. The Board of Finance may say, hey, Board of Fire Commissioners, or hey, Fire Department, we think you can live without this, we're going to cut it. Or hey, Community Service, we think you can raise your revenues to this. So the Board of Finance really has the final say in that budget. And then their budget is presented in a town meeting and it's voted on. Then we go to the referendum. And that's where the taxpayers vote on it.
And they have the ultimate say. So there's a lot of checks and balances. Seymour probably has, I mean, of the towns we cover, the most layers from like the creation to getting it to the public. So there's a lot of checks and balances, I think, in place. So at what point are you going to go and present your suggested budget to the finance board?
I present my budget on March 7th.
March 7th. Okay, so we still have a little time. And then just this week on Valentine's Day, you, not that Valentine's Day has anything to do with it, but you transition back to in-person meetings. Are they in-person and on YouTube, or is it in-person only? What's the deal there?
They're just in person. They're just in person. They're not on YouTube. We videotape them, so they'll go on YouTube, but videotape was I feel so old when I say videotape.
I always say that. Yeah.
We record them and we put them up on the social media for people to see.
You capture video, I think is what
Yes.
the kids say on Fortnite, I guess. All right, so that's the budget process, and obviously people are paying attention right now because, and we've been trying to. Jean Falbo-Sosnovich, who freelances for the Valley Indy, she's a correspondent. She's very familiar with the town, the structures of the town. She has institutional knowledge going back a long time, and we're trying to keep an eye on the budget process as it goes through without overwhelming people, because I think sometimes if you report on too much process, people just ignore it. But
Yeah.
is there anything you can report on the school budget in terms of if they've closed that deficit they had? I think it was $839,000, I want to say. That's off the top of my head.
So it's really not a deficit. It's a projected deficit that they have. They are not in a deficit at this point in time. It's a projected deficit. If there was to be no changes whatsoever and they kept spending or kept up with the way they were doing things, then there could be a potential deficit. But as of right now, there is no deficit. And Dr. Compton and Sal, we are all working together to see what we all can do to close that deficit.
And what they did was, because the same thing.
Deficit.
Yeah, and the same thing is happening in different circumstances, but in Derby and Ansonia, where, Seymour, I'll just stick with the Board of Ed. What it seemed they did was they put numbers down in terms of insurance, and the numbers weren't right. Essentially, that's what it is. And the other two, I mean, that's what it's been reported to me.
Yeah. Well, yes, that number, that $830,000 number, is what the benefits has come out, the cost has come out to be. But we don't know if that's truly what that number is going to be. Because right now we're paying everything.
Everything comes in. We're not
getting any deficit, we're not getting any past due bills for anything, but they're also on a spending freeze. So.
Okay, so that's sorting itself out. I know that the school district is dealing with that, and they were very open about it. I know I'm not supposed to editorialize, but being a reporter for like 11 years now, sometimes these things, there's like, you hear about it third hand and maybe it's happening and then it's this, and it gets very, very, very confusing to cover. So at least this has been out in the open. It's been on Facebook. People have been able to weigh in on it. And I should say, people should I'll do my best to try to answer or send questions to the first Selectwoman if you have any. But anyway, is there anything else you wanted to add about the budget? That gives people a taste of what to expect over the next couple of months. These are, of course, public meetings where people can watch and keep an eye on what's going on. Anything else you wanted to add about that?
No, just that we look to hear from the residents. Once your newspaper article came out about the budget and the potential of the deficit at the Board of Ed, right away it was, cut spending, cut. Teachers overpaid. Listen, there's nothing we can do more than give our kids a good education, right? We want to make sure our kids receive a great education, and Seymour does give our kids a good education. I don't want to see anybody lose their job. I don't want to see any services cut to our students. So that's why we're going to work together. But I want to welcome our residents to come out to the meetings. and I don't want to sound like a jerk when I say this, but anybody can sit behind their computer and fix a problem on a Monday morning or a Friday. What's that called? Monday morning quarterbacking?
Yeah.
Right? It's very hard to not want to give your opinion in this position and not come off like somebody who thinks they know it all, because we don't know it all. All of our boards volunteer their time. Our Board of Ed, it's an elected board. They volunteer their times. They have meetings, they have subcommittee meetings, they have meetings on top of meetings. Not one of them is paid. Not one of them receives any type of abatement. None of it. The only person that is an elected paid official is myself. Everybody volunteers their time. In my pay, it's out there. You know, it's out there. I'm in my office a lot. You know, I'm at every meeting at nighttime, and I love to see residents come out to meetings. You know, the Board of Ed meetings, we have parents come out regarding the mask. We have parents coming out regarding the budget. Come to a meeting, come to the budget hearings, listen to these boards present their budgets as to why they need it. Why do they need that money? Why do they want to have this? And we'll get a better understanding of what is going on in the town.
That's true. There were a couple of, go ahead, sorry.
I try to do what's happening in the 888 as far as sports, as far as town meetings, giving everybody the update. And I may miss a day here or there in giving the update. And I don't want people to think that we're hiding anything. I've said it once and I've said it again. I am a very transparent person. I don't hide anything. And somebody may not like the way I say something, but I say it like it is. I don't sugarcoat anything, Eugene. You know that. You know I've been on the board since 2006. I don't sugarcoat anything. If I have something to say, I'm going to say it. Kurt and Nicole will normally, you know, because they're two of my best friends, they'll reprimand me for saying it the way I did. But that's just I am. If I'm going to say it behind somebody's back, I'm going to say it to their face. You know?
Yeah, and there is an exchange of information. It is important to point out that, like, the Board of Education, they're not paid people. I think sometimes there is a knee-jerk reaction, you know, that they are paid, and they're not, because people are actually saying that on Facebook. All right, so that's the budget process this year in Seymour. I think now more than ever, I mean, if you go to the YouTube page for the town of Seymour, you can watch all these meetings.
Yes.
And it's a great resource if you have a couple of minutes to kill. They're interesting meetings. Sometimes, like when you first watch them, it can be like learning a new language, but it's pretty good stuff.
It's like watching paint dry sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. But all right, so now we're going to mix it up a little. Okay. And hopefully I keep getting a message saying that my internet might be a little wacky. So hopefully people can see us. Post something on, I keep saying waiting for live signal. So hopefully that isn't a disaster. But anyway, a couple of people, well, only two people submitted questions in advance. One person, Tony Franchise, I apologize, I'm butchering your name. He wanted me to ask if the BOE carries a reserve for encumbrances at the end of the fiscal year to the next.
Okay, so the Board of Ed can have we could have an encumbrance, but an encumbrance is that if they say we're going to buy computers and we place the order for computers, we cut a PO, but then the computers don't come in into the next budget year, right? So that's an encumbrance where a PO is written in this budget, but it doesn't come in into the following budget. So we hold that money. They cannot have a surplus, meaning if they have $189,000 because they didn't spend it, they cannot carry it because everything goes back to our general fund. Just like they cannot have a deficit. You know, we talk about this potential deficit that they may potentially have. If we don't come up with a solution together, then that deficit becomes the town's deficit. And if it becomes the town's deficit, then we could go into our general fund and we could take that $1 million and plug it, but the school doesn't carry that deficit to the following year. And we really don't want to take from our general fund because that takes away our S&P rating, the money for us to bond. And that really wouldn't be an emergency rainy day issue. That would be them looking at us like, you don't know how to budget, and you're relying on that. You don't want to rely on your savings to pay your household bills, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
So they could have an encumbrance, meaning that they could have it if they put it towards something in the previous year, but they can't carry that money over just to have that money.
Okay, and
They
thanks for
can't
that
have a
question.
surplus,
Thanks.
They can't have a deficit.
Thanks for that answer. Matt Ito is actually on the live stream. My old friend Matt Ito, he bought a coffee cup from the Valley Indy once upon a time, former Ansonia alderman a long time ago. He said, is there a projected tax increase for Seymour at this point?
I cannot say if there is or there isn't going to be, because I don't have all the budgets in yet. The
It's still
numbers
early.
haven't been put together yet.
Okay,
Sorry,
then Matt, oh, he'll let you know, I'm sure. Speaking of people who
I'm sure
speak plainly and concisely. Matt Sab, he says, I'd like to see Bungay from West Church to Botsford be moved higher up on the list of priorities, I guess, of road paving. It's really deteriorating rapidly. Tons of people, including school buses, use it. Maybe we can take care of the big things first.
Absolutely. Roads are a big thing in town. And it's funny because Botsford Road, Bungay Road is part of LOTSEP funding, the same with the Hollybrook Road. And with the Bungay, we are waiting on the state already gave us a promise to fund, but we are waiting on the Valley COG to give us some money for that, as well as easements for, we'd have to go for easements from the citizens, because that's that whole road to break it down. So Bungay and west, it's really west of Bungay. It would start at the historical center, and that whole road has to be done because there'd be sidewalks from the historical center all the way up to the high school. Of course, there'd be no sidewalks where, you know, those streets are, of course, but that's including the whole restructuring, because that road is not to code. In some areas, it's really thin. Some areas, it's really wide. They'd have to do a whole restructuring of that road and the whole sidewalks, as well as running utilities. So we're just waiting for the state funding to give the state funding to the Valley COG to give it to us.
In the
Hollybrook
works.
Road, what?
I just said it's in the works, you're saying.
It is. It's in the works. Hollybrook
It's stuck
Road,
in Rick Dunn's file up there at Valley COG.
exactly. Hollybrook Road, the holdup on that was getting DEEP easements. That was like 2.5 years, but then we're in the whole COVID thing. Nobody was giving us answers on that. But that's actually all set to go. We're just waiting on the DOT to sign off on the final letter. And we should be going into that out to bid, and then starting in going out to bid in mid-March, starting in early summer. Bungay will go out to bid this fall, and we'll start on it next summer.
It's Bungay. I said it wrong. I lost all what little street cred I had in Seymour. Just got flushed down the toilet. I apologize.
It's Bungay, not Bungay.
Oh man, I'm from Somers, New York, not Summers, like you weirdo Connecticut people say. All right, so Stacy Jean, she just puts in a request. She's saying that Culver Street and Hillside Avenue is in rough shape, so she hopes that makes a list of some kind.
We are starting our road process with our town engineer, Brian Nisteriak from B&B Engineering. We're starting to put a road list together in March, so he'll be presenting the road list, and I'll make sure we put what was it, Culver and what?
Culver Street and Hillside Avenue, Stacy Jean says. She says it's been pushed off. We're waiting a while. We're still waiting every year. We always hear next year. Thank you.
I will have it on the list for for B&B Engineering.
Bam! How do you like that? Okay. So that's that. All right, let's get to. I had a question, but I forgot it. But you put some. All right, look, you had this board of selectmen meeting the other night, right? And Gene and I are talking, and I'm looking at the agenda, and we try to cover. We're trying to do a better job covering Seymour. But we both looked at that agenda, and I'm like, oh, we can't cover. There's not news coming out of this. There are other things going on. Ansonia had whatever. Derby's fighting about whatever.
Forgetting about Seymour.
Wait, it looked like a snooze fest. This agenda, there's nothing on it. It was completely, that's okay. I'm not supposed to state my opinion, but I didn't see us getting news out of it. And it's like one of those things. Do you send a Gene or myself to spend, it's a commitment, a time commitment and money and all that.
We're
But
just not
then the
worth it, I
next
guess.
morning, what was that?
We're just not worth it.
Well, the next morning I wake up. I didn't wake up. I mean, I log on to Facebook, I check to see what's going on. And your list of things happening in Seymour that at least this publication's been sleeping on a little bit is pretty amazing here. So let's go through some of these things. I know people are really going to be into this as I spit onto my screen. I apologize. But the Housatonic House, new restaurant opening in April. This is on Route 34 where the Lake House used to be. It's been a couple of incarnations over the years. So yeah, that's hugely exciting. When's it going to open and what is it? You know who the people are or anything like that? What can you tell us?
It's a restaurant. It's a all-inclusive restaurant, all-inclusive. It's a restaurant. It's more than a pizza place. They serve all different types of food. They totally remodeled the inside of it from top to bottom. If you walked in the previous restaurants there, you would never know those restaurants were there with all the work and time and money they put into this restaurant. So we're really looking forward to them opening up in April.
Hey, do you have any idea? I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What'd you say? Or March?
Yeah.
All right, soon. Do you have any theories or gossip or what have you? I'm always amazed that restaurants sort of come and go from that location. I mean, it's on Route 34, Roosevelt Drive there. It's more than a main road, it gets so much traffic. And I'm sort of surprised that something hasn't gone there and stayed there. Any guesses?
You hear the talk around town, well, the parking, you have to cross a major road to get there. But the owners bought a parking lot next to it. So it gave them more parking.
Oh, nice.
So that could be a reason. I know they're looking, with the summertime and things happening. I have to be very careful what I say because I don't want to say they're going to do something because they talked about doing something and they actually don't do it. Then it's like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So I think the additional parking will help them coming in and revamping that whole area. It used to be way back when, I think in the 90s, was it Alberto's? Alderio's? It was a restaurant. It was a pizza place or an Italian restaurant. And it was constantly busy, and then it's changed hands. And I think a parking had a lot to do with it. People not wanting to go there or parking across the street.
It was probably intimidating. You pull up and if you weren't, I drive by there all the time because I live on like that side of Derby. I'm on like 34 is like right there. But yeah, I guess if you don't know, it's like, where do I park? Am I going to drive into the river? All that kind of stuff. And keep Gordon Ramsay away from it. That's all I want. Don't let Gordon Ramsay anywhere near it. That vulture. Nicole Claridis Dietrich says Snooze Fest is a Gene saying.
What is it?
Snooze Fest. I called the meeting a Snooze Fest, I guess. And she's saying I plagiarized Gene. I'll see you in court. Then the other thing going on, and this is hugely exciting, I think, too. Luxury. Marcy says the place needed an uplift. Parking was horrible. Looking forward to it. Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. Best of luck to the new business. And if you're listening, let us know when you open and we'll cover the ribbon cutting. Luxury Apartments, according to
We'll let you know when the ribbon cutting is going to be.
Thank you. Luxury Apartments, according to you, are going across from the restaurant next to Walsh's Cottage, which is sort of near like the Dunkin' Donuts right there.
I use the word luxury apartments because that is the word that I was told that they're going to be. And I did see the Facebook post about, well and septic. Well, there are a lot of homes, beautiful homes in Seymour that are on well and septic. So just because something is on well and septic doesn't mean that it's not going to be luxurious or nice, right?
Oh, I didn't know that was a stereotype. Wow.
I didn't know that either.
As a kid who grew up in a there's a septic field outside. Yeah.
So they are
34 apartments were you were saying,
34
right?
Apartments. Okay. They call them luxurious apartments because they're not like the small little rinky-dink apartments. The builder does a great job in what he does. He's very attentive to detail. So
new construction market rate apartments, it sounds like.
Higher.
Public hearing coming up in March about that. Because there is that thing, like whenever I drive on 34 on that stretch there, I'm always amazed there isn't just a little more, because it seems ripe for development. So it's nice to see things happening there. And then you're saying this is huge too. First Selectwoman Drugonis. An application. I'm angry because you scooped us on your Facebook page, but an application went through. I didn't
scoop you. You just chose not to come and cover Seymour because nothing is happening in Seymour.
Listen, on your first Selectwoman report, add some bullet points. Give you like, hey, who's hey, that just you and Mayor Cassetti does the same thing. He'll be like, oh, Mayor's report. Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to invade Derby next week. Just put a bullet point on there, you guys.
I'll give you the scoop next time beforehand.
An application, and then I'll be, I won't have somebody to go, or I'll have some sob story, but an application went through Inland Wetlands for 109 River Road, which is the old Housatonic Wire Company property.
Yeah.
So what's potentially going to happen there?
So Housatonic Wire put in an application through the Inland Wetlands, through Lorero Engineering, for potentially putting in storage units. The storage units also have to go in front of our planning and zoning. So there will be a public comment session on that for people from the public to comment on it, to give their thoughts and opinions. And they're free to do that. Just like anything else that happens in town, people are allowed to give their public comment on it. That's what the owner of the property feels is what he wants to put in there.
All right, I'm going to read into that pause. Maybe it's not ideally if you could if someone, the public could wave a magic wand and build something there, but that's not the way the country works. The landowner and the zoning rules, you can try to get in.
Yeah, it's privately owned, and he has the right to choose what he wants to do with his property as a taxpayer in this town, as the owner of the property is also a taxpayer in this town. As a taxpayer in the town, I don't want to look out or go down Route 8 and see storage units. And that's my own thoughts and my own personal opinion as a taxpayer, not as the first Selectwoman, because we want to bring businesses. We want to build our grand list. That's what we want to do. But I always envision that area as a restaurant, because you have that nice little river going through it. People can eat outside. That's what I always envisioned over there. But it's not my property. But, we have to grow the grand list. So.
And people should understand, I hope people understand that just because a P&Z or a land use agency or whatever the reviewing body is, you can't just say, I don't like that. I'd rather have an Apple store and reject something out of right. Exactly. That's just not the way it works.
He has every right to put that there. It is a use, an allowable use. And he's looking to do something with his land. I'm glad that and happy that he's doing something with his property.
Because it sat there for a little bit. And a public hearing on that is coming up in April. Yeah. And so what this really means is that Gene Falbo-Sosnovich is going to be really busy next week catching up on all these stories. And then last but certainly not least, a new pizzeria or pizzeria and more coming to Main Street. What's that?
So that is Railroad Station Pizza. And they're actually, I think they just got their CO. So they have pizza places. They have, they're going to serve more than pizza. I think it's like an Italian restaurant type deal with the food they're going to have there. So they're open to ready. And I know I've read the comments about another pizza place, but again, it's businesses coming in. It's the grand list. People are saying we don't have. And then when businesses are coming in, they're not happy about it. I'm happy there's some companies that are coming in.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there's clearly, I'm not an economist or anywhere near it. I mean, I'm a nonprofit newspaper reporter, which is like the opposite of an economist, but there's supply and demand, and there's clearly a demand for pizza, for high-end pizza. It's opening up all over the place. The Valley's becoming, I think, pretty much a destination spot
We have two
for.
parties in Ansonia.
Yeah, I think it's really good. And so that was everything you went through at your Selectmen meeting the other night. I mean, I got to ask you about TriTown Plaza, but I actually kind of have like news I held on to. It's not really news, but a couple of months ago in August, actually, I had reached out to Ron Spector because I guess this was a story I worked on. I think I interviewed you, and I never wrote the story because I'm one guy. I don't know. And there was some talk of a light manufacturer of some type possibly checking out TriTown Plaza. And then I put something on Facebook, and I think that was the extent of what I did with it. And people commented, and this was from Ron Spector, Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021. He said, I saw the comments. There isn't a single name on that list that we haven't contacted. I guess people put suggestions that we've contacted at least 5 times in the past decade. The issue is the changing nature of brick and mortar. I thought was interesting. There are also structural issues with my ownership and leasing of the property that limit what I can even develop on this parcel, which additionally limits our options for future development. It's not because I'm refusing to invest in Seymour, but rather because we've been unable to find a credit, I think he meant credible tenant, who wants to locate in a market with constraints that might not see the same growth as Shelton and Oxford. But then I emailed back and I said, well, what about Red Raider Plaza, and Ansonia is exploding, but anyway, so that was just something from Ron Spector. Can you tell us, is anything happened on with TriTown Plaza?
So I could say Sheila O'Malley is speaking with Mr. Spector about certain things going on. And
that's right. I forgot. You have a new part-time economic development director, Sheila O'Malley.
Yes.
Is well known, holds the same position in Ansonia and previously held it in the city of Derby. So I forgot about that.
So Sheila, she comes to our board meetings once a month, and she gives a rundown on grants that she's applied for. She gives a rundown on people she has spoken to regarding economic development. So, I mean, she is working on things, and she is working with Mr. Spector on a couple of things, and we're hoping that, they go through and they're followed through on, because if they are, it will help our grand list.
And then we just had 2 questions come in from a Jim Pepe. He was going back to when we were talking about sewage and leach fields. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but he says
luxury not being wells and septics not being luxury on wells.
He asked, does someone with a well pay less to the Seymour Water Pollution Control Authority than someone with access to city water? That is a very, very specific question.
That is a very specific question. So the WPCA, which is our Water Pollution Control Authority, collects from city water and city sewer. You can have a well, you can have a septic with city water, and you pay the WPCA for the usage, the water consumption. If you have a well and a septic system, you do not pay for the WPCA. You do not pay to that. The only people that pay the WPCA or sewer tax fee or sewer assessment fee are those that have city water and city sewer.
It wasn't there, excuse my ignorance, but wasn't there talk of bringing a sewer line up 34 up Roosevelt Drive?
That would be there. There was talk about it, but to have it come down 34, you would have to have gravity fed pumps, and those are a lot of money, because you'd have to pump it up the hills in Seymour, Great Hill Road. You have to pump it over there down to Derby Avenue by Route 8, unless we pumped down to the pump house on 34 in Derby.
Okay. And then Mr. Pepe also asked, and this was when we were talking about Housatonic Wire. Is that the name of the property? Housatonic Wire,
Yep,
right?
Housatonic Wire.
There's so many, I get them confused, but he said, is the property contaminated and not suitable for construction of certain use without remediation?
So when Selectman Paul Roy and Teresa Conroy was our state rep, they went and got some brownfield money for the owner of the property. The state gave him money and he was cleaning it up, and then he stopped. He stopped cleaning it up, and he has started cleaning it up now because he's in the he put himself in the voluntary cleanup section. And it was mentioned at the inland wetland meeting by the person interested in building the storage units, that he would not clean it up. He would not build until the property was thoroughly cleaned. He'd have to
Gotcha,
have
okay.
a letter from the state of Connecticut that it was thoroughly cleaned.
Okay, thank you for that answer, and thank you for that question, Mr. Pepe. I just hit refresh, and I'm not seeing any other questions, so maybe we'll wrap it up. But I wanted to ask you first, Selectwoman Drugonis, anything going on this weekend? You have your finger on the pulse of what's happening in Seymour. Unlike me, the only thing I know that's happening in Seymour this weekend is Connecticut Cult Classics, and they're playing a double feature of werewolf movies. I'm sure, I don't know if you're a fan of Ginger Snaps or The Howling, but that's Scary Larry Dwyer putting that on this weekend. But that's the extent of my culture. So I don't know. Anything else going on?
Just, Friday night, we have our high school boys and JV boys basketball games at home. Our varsity boys swimming and diving is going to be in Naugatuck. We have our championship wrestling that we have somebody going into. We have two of our wrestlers going into. Our girls gymnastics. And again, on Saturday, boys basketball. And our boys indoor track will be an indoor track. Girls indoor track will be competing this weekend for states.
Oh, that's all great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that as well. And I guess I'll just ask you one last time if there's any other topics you want to touch upon or mention or shout outs. I don't know.
No, I just want to let the people know that, if they have our residents know if they have any questions whatsoever, come to a town meeting. Our town meetings are open to everybody and anybody. If you have comments, understand during public comments, whether it's at a Board of Ed meeting or any other board meeting, the board cannot comment during public comments. But you can be asked to be put on the agenda. And if you stay around, sometimes board members give their comments to the questions afterwards.
Wait, I'm going to file a freedom of information complaint. And you couldn't have told me that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Because we didn't post our agenda online for 24 hours?
Oh, well, all right. Hey, that came back to me that we had filed a complaint. I didn't know what the rules were.
It's okay.
We'll just leave it at an eye roll. All right. Well, that's the what. Yeah. Right. All right. Let's call it a day. Thank you so much.
We are very transparent in this office. We hide nothing.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Hey, then why the blurred background? What's that? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I have my budget up. That's why.
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know how to respond to that. I've got Chewbacca. All right. No, but seriously, in all seriousness, thank you so much for just coming on and agreeing to do this. I mean, it's not like we prepare obviously anything in advance. You can tell by the nature of the conversation and the comments coming in. So I really do appreciate that. And I hope people had some fun watching, if that's the thing.
Maybe.
All right. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
You too. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.